In the heart of Central Asia, amidst the vast steppes and rugged mountains, lay the cradle of a fearsome specter that would one day haunt medieval Europe. The bubonic plague, a disease of unparalleled devastation, traces its origins to this remote and enigmatic region. It was here, nestled in the natural world, that the bacterium Yersinia pestis quietly thrived, awaiting its moment to unleash unparalleled chaos. The journey of the plague began far from the bustling cities of Europe. It was a journey not of men, but of tiny, seemingly innocuous creatures, fleas. These fleas found their hosts in the wild rodents that roamed the grassy plains, forming a perfect symbiotic relationship that would spell disaster for millions. But how did a microscopic organism manage to traverse continents and reshape the destiny of humankind? The answer lies in the interconnected web of trade routes that spanned the medieval world. Known as the Silk Road, this vast network of paths and trails connected the east to the west, carrying goods, culture, and, unbeknownst to travelers, disease. Caravans laden with silk, spices, and precious stones moved steadily along these routes, bridging empires and civilizations. Yet hidden amongst the riches were the seeds of a catastrophe. As the plague moved westward, it found new vessels in the form of merchant ships and bustling trade hubs. The bustling ports of the Black Sea became unwitting gateways, allowing the plague to hitch a ride across the waters. It infiltrated the arteries of commerce, spreading like wildfire through the lifeblood of trade. In the year 1347, the plague made its European debut, arriving in the bustling port city of Messina in Sicily. From there, it radiated outward, as if following an invisible path laid by centuries of trade and travel. The disease spread rapidly, moving from village to village, city to city, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. It was a relentless force, one that seemed unstoppable, and it would forever alter the course of history. The people of medieval Europe were unprepared for the onslaught. The plague's origins were shrouded in mystery, its spread seemingly supernatural. Some believed it was a punishment from the heavens, a divine retribution for the sins of mankind. Others sought explanations in the alignment of the stars or the foul miasmas that emanated from the earth. Yet the true cause eluded them, hidden in the microscopic world beyond their sight. As the Black Death swept across Europe, it became more than a mere disease. It became a harbinger of change. It exposed the fragility of human life and the interconnectedness of societies. The once bustling cities fell silent, their streets littered with the bodies of the dead. In its wake, the plague left a scar on the landscape, both physical and psychological, that would endure for generations. This is the story of the bubonic plague's origins, a tale of nature's wrath unleashed upon humanity. It is a reminder of the delicate balance that exists between man and the world he inhabits, a balance that, once disturbed, can have profound and lasting consequences. As we explore the origins of this fearsome disease, we journey back to a time when the world was still a vast and mysterious place, and the threat of the unknown loomed large over all who dared to traverse its boundaries. As the 14th century dawned, the stage was set for an unprecedented catastrophe. The bubonic plague, born in the steppes of Central Asia, began its inexorable march toward Europe. Carried by fleas that infested the black rats of merchant caravans, the disease crept silently along the veins of trade, weaving itself into the fabric of daily life. The Silk Road, that fabled conduit of goods and ideas, unwittingly transformed into a highway of death. From the bustling ports of the Black Sea, the plague leapt to the city of Constantinople, its first European victim. Panic ensued as the Byzantine Empire, already teetering under the weight of internal strife, found itself besieged by this invisible enemy. Ships fleeing the infected city carried the contagion to the shores of Italy, where it took root in the vibrant trading hubs of Genoa, Venice, and Pisa. Here, in the heart of the Mediterranean, the plague found fertile ground. As the year 1347 turned, the disease surged northward, infiltrating the cities of Marseille and Avignon in France. The papal court, once a bastion of power and authority, became a place of fear and mourning. The streets, once alive with the bustle of commerce and conversation, now echoed with the cries of the afflicted and the mournful toll of church bells. In a matter of months, the plague had crossed the English Channel, ravaging the British Isles. London, the throbbing heart of medieval England, became a city of ghosts. As the River Thames carried the disease inland, villages and towns fell silent, their populations decimated. The plague's path of destruction did not respect borders or oceans. It reached the Iberian Peninsula, bringing despair to the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon. From there, it spread to the farthest reaches of Scandinavia and the icy shores of Greenland, carried by the relentless tides of trade and human movement. Trade routes, once the lifeblood of European prosperity, now served as conduits for this unrelenting scourge. The Hanseatic League, that powerful coalition of merchant guilds, found its ships laden not with goods, but with the specter of death. Markets that had bustled with life became deserted, as fear and suspicion took hold. The impact on medieval society was profound. Families were torn apart, entire communities vanished, and the social order crumbled. The feudal system, already strained, faced unprecedented challenges as labor shortages upended the balance of power. In the face of such devastation, religious fervor intensified, and the search for scapegoats led to horrific acts of violence against minority communities. Yet, amidst the chaos, the human spirit endured. Stories of resilience and adaptation emerged as people sought new ways to cope with the ever-present threat of death. Some turned to religion, others to science and reason, seeking answers in a world cast into darkness. The Black Death's legacy would echo through the centuries, reshaping Europe in ways unimaginable. It was a turning point, a moment in history where the past and future collided, leaving an indelible mark on the human story. The bubonic plague, an insidious specter of death, began its harrowing journey within the human body through a simple flea bite. From this seemingly innocuous beginning, a cascade of symptoms unfolded with merciless speed. Within days, victims found themselves gripped by a high fever, chills, and debilitating weakness. Swollen lymph nodes, or buboes, appeared in the groin, neck, and armpits, dark, painful swellings that gave the plague its infamous name. These buboes, often the size of eggs, were the ominous harbingers of a grim fate, bursting with pus and blood as the disease ravaged the body from within. The medieval world, with its rudimentary medical knowledge, could only watch in horror. Physicians, clad in their iconic beak-like masks filled with aromatic herbs, attempted to treat the afflicted, employing a mix of superstition and desperation. Bloodletting, the application of poultices, and the burning of herbs were common practices, each proving futile against the relentless advance of the plague. At the heart of this medical mystery lay a tiny bacterium, Yersinia pestis. Unseen by the eyes of the time, this pathogen spread through the bloodstream, overwhelming the body's defenses. The bubonic form was just one manifestation. Pneumonic plague attacked the lungs, spreading from person to person through the air, ensuring its deadly reach extended beyond the bite of a flea. Septicemic plague coursed through the bloodstream, swiftly leading to death before the telltale buboes could even form. In the centuries that followed, scientific advancements illuminated the dark secrets of the plague. The discovery of the bacterium in the late 19th century by Alexandre Yersin marked a turning point. Understanding the role of fleas and rats in the transmission cycle led to more effective control measures. Modern science has since unraveled the genetic code of Yersinia pestis, revealing its evolutionary journey and the adaptations that made it such an efficient killer. Yet, in medieval times, the causes of the plague remained shrouded in mystery, attributed to miasmas, divine wrath, and astrological alignments. This lack of understanding bred fear and superstition, as the sick were often shunned, their bodies hastily buried in mass graves. The societal impact was profound, as the constant specter of death reshaped communities, economies, and the very fabric of medieval life. Today, we look back with a blend of awe and sorrow at the devastation wrought by the bubonic plague. It stands as a testament to the fragility of human existence and the relentless power of nature. Modern medicine and science have armed us with the knowledge and tools to prevent such a catastrophe from recurring, yet the lessons of the past remain ever pertinent. In understanding the symptoms and science behind the plague, we gain insight not only into a disease that changed the course of history, but also into the enduring resilience of humanity in the face of adversity. The bubonic plague swept through medieval society like a storm, leaving chaos and transformation in its wake. As the death toll rose, the very fabric of society was torn apart, unraveling communities and reshaping the world in profound ways. The Black Death did not discriminate. It struck rich and poor alike, toppling the social order that had held firm for centuries. In cities and villages, the once clear lines between classes began to blur, as both lords and peasants succumbed to the disease. The labor force was decimated, fields lay fallow, and the wheels of industry ground to a halt. With so many lives lost, the shortage of workers led to a seismic shift in the economy. Surviving laborers found themselves in an unprecedented position of power, able to demand better wages and working conditions. This newfound leverage began to erode the rigid feudal system, as serfs sought freedom from their obligations, and some even acquired land of their own. The economic balance tipped, and for the first time, the common people glimpsed a future where they might wield more influence. The plague also forced a reckoning with faith and religion, shaking the very foundations of the medieval church. As death loomed large, the church struggled to provide answers, and its inability to halt the plague's march led to disillusionment among the masses. With priests and clergy perishing alongside their congregations, a spiritual void opened, and people began to question the divine order they had long accepted. Some turned to flagellants, wandering bands of penitents who believed that self-punishment would appease an angry God. Others clung more fervently to their beliefs, while some explored new spiritual paths, laying the groundwork for religious reform. In the ashes of the old order, new ideas began to take root. The plague's devastation acted as a catalyst for change, accelerating the decline of feudalism and fostering a spirit of innovation. Art and literature began to reflect the grim realities of the time, capturing the collective trauma and resilience of a society in flux. This cultural shift sowed the seeds of the Renaissance, as people sought to understand the world anew, driven by a thirst for knowledge and discovery. The bubonic plague was not just a harbinger of death, it was a herald of transformation. Its impact echoed through the corridors of power and the streets of everyday life, forcing humanity to adapt and evolve in the face of overwhelming adversity. Out of the darkness of the plague emerged a new dawn, one that would eventually illuminate the path towards modernity. In the end, the legacy of the Black Death is etched into the annals of history, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the relentless march of progress. Though it brought unimaginable suffering, it also paved the way for a world transformed, forever altering the course of civilization. As the Black Death cast its shadow across medieval Europe, the specter of death became a constant companion. In the face of such devastation, society turned to the familiar pillars of faith and folklore, searching desperately for answers and solace. The Church, a cornerstone of medieval life, found its authority both challenged and reinforced. Many saw the plague as divine retribution, a punishment for humanity's sins. This belief spurred a wave of religious fervor, with communities gathering in fervent prayer, seeking redemption and mercy from an angry God. Flagellant movements emerged, with penitents marching from town to town, whipping themselves in atonement. Their cries pierced the air, a haunting plea for salvation. Yet, as the death toll rose, the Church's inability to protect the faithful led to disillusionment. Scapegoating soon reared its ugly head. In many places, Jewish communities were unjustly blamed, accused of poisoning wells, and faced brutal persecution. These tragic acts of violence underscored the depths of fear and prejudice unleashed by the plague. Amidst the chaos, early public health measures began to take shape, laying the foundations for future responses to epidemics. In cities like Venice, officials implemented quarantine protocols, isolating incoming ships in an attempt to stem the tide of infection. These measures, though rudimentary, marked a significant shift towards collective responsibility and the beginnings of organized health policy. Folk remedies and homegrown solutions also flourished, as people sought to combat the invisible menace with whatever means they could muster. Herbal concoctions, potions, and amulets were crafted, each promising protection or cure. Stories of miraculous recoveries spread like wildfire, offering hope in a landscape of despair. Yet, most of these remedies proved futile against the relentless march of the plague. In this time of crisis, medieval society was tested to its core. The responses to the Black Death, a tapestry of faith, fear, and ingenuity, reveal the resilience and vulnerability of the human spirit. Even as the world seemed to crumble, seeds of change were sown. The plague, a harbinger of death, inadvertently became a catalyst for transformation, reshaping the social, economic, and medical landscapes for generations to come. Thus, the dance between faith and reason, between fear and hope, defined this epoch. It was a time when the unseen forces of the universe touched every life, leaving their mark on the history of humankind. And through it all, the question echoed. In the face of such overwhelming darkness, what light could humanity kindle? The bubonic plague, a specter of death that stalked medieval Europe, left behind a world forever altered. As the Black Death swept through cities and villages with terrifying speed, it not only decimated populations, but also unraveled the very fabric of society. Yet, from this devastation emerged profound transformations that would shape the world as we know it today. The plague's toll on human life was unprecedented, with estimates suggesting that up to half of Europe's population perished. In the wake of such loss, labor became scarce, and the rigid hierarchies of feudalism began to crumble. Serfs and peasants, once bound to the land, found themselves with newfound bargaining power. Wages rose, and a middle class slowly began to emerge, setting the stage for a shift towards a more modern economy. Cities, once centers of contagion, became crucibles for innovation. The necessity of addressing public health led to the development of quarantine measures, the establishment of pest houses, and the rudiments of what we now understand as epidemiology. The chaos of the plague years taught humanity the importance of sanitation and the need for organized health responses, lessons that echo through history to our present day. The psychological impact of the plague was as profound as its physical devastation. The ever-present specter of death challenged the Church's authority, as faith was tested by the seemingly indiscriminate nature of the disease. In its wake, the seeds of the Renaissance were sown, as people began to question old doctrines and explore new ideas. The thirst for knowledge and understanding birthed a new era of scientific and artistic achievement, forever altering the course of Western civilization. Culturally, the plague etched itself into the collective memory of Europe, inspiring art, literature, and folklore. Morality plays, dance macabre imagery, and written accounts served as grim reminders of human vulnerability. These cultural artifacts continue to resonate, reminding us of our shared mortality and the resilience of the human spirit. In reflecting on the bubonic plague, we are reminded of the importance of preparedness and adaptation. The lessons learned during the dark days of the 14th century are more relevant than ever in our contemporary world, where the threat of pandemics looms large. We are reminded that in times of crisis, unity, innovation, and compassion are paramount. The legacy of the plague extends beyond its immediate aftermath. It is a testament to humanity's ability to endure, adapt, and ultimately thrive in the face of unimaginable adversity. As we continue to navigate the challenges of the modern world, the story of the bubonic plague serves as both a cautionary tale and a beacon of hope, a reminder that from darkness, light can emerge, and from devastation, new beginnings take root.